Welcome to Tax Planner Pro. My name is Christopher Reagan. I'm the founder of the software, and I'm going to take you through a detailed demonstration of the accountant version of Tax Planner Pro. There are two versions to Tax Planner Pro. One is for the small business owner. It is what we call the SMB version, and it is not nearly as fully featured as the accountant version. It has a different price point than the accountant versions. And so this demonstration only applies if you are a professional accountant serving multiple clients. I'm going to take you through the version that allows you to have unlimited clients, has quite a few different features, more enhanced features, better reporting, that kind of thing. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So this is the login page for the accountant portal, and I'm going to go ahead and log in now. And right away, you're going to see your client list. If you are brand new to the system, you won't have any clients in here, of course, and you can create a new client right here and start populating this list. This list tells you some things about your clients, lets you know if they're connected to bookkeeping at all. If they're connected to Xero, this would be a little Xero emblem. Tells you if it's connected or disconnected, gives you their name. It shows you some information about their projection, so what the total tax due on the current projection is, payments, the amount of tax due, and then it also shows you the last time your client logged in. If you give your clients access to their client portals, it'll show you how often they're logging into it. You can access your client's portal via this button here, this purple button that says Client Portal. You can delete a client with this trash can. And you can also go into the client details by clicking the link that is created by the client name, and you can go in and change some of the settings for that client. We'll get into all of that here in a moment. Before I get into the client list, I do want to show you some of these other tabs over here on the left navigation. The first I'm going to show you is the courses. As an accountant user, you get access to the Tax Planning Mastery course. This has several modules, is more than 40 hours of content, and takes you start to finish through how I think not only you should use the system, but also how to grow your business using tax planning. Has several updated videos and different training pieces to it. It goes through not just how to use the software, but how to use strategies, how to sell tax plans, how to build your business around tax planning, all of that kind of thing. So that is where that lives. Also in the left nav is the profile section. This is very important because you need to get your logo in there so that it populates throughout the system. There are many places we use your logo. One is the client portal. Another is the reports that the system will create for your clients that uses your logo around. We try not to have Tax Planner Pro anywhere in any kind of client deliverable. We want this to look like it is a very custom project that you put together for your client, the reporting very custom just for them. So having your company's information in here. If you have a mini logo, meaning otherwise known as a favicon, you can put that in here too, and that populates throughout the system and the reports as well. Then finally, there's a support tab, and this is actually going to open up on a different screen. This is the support section for Tax Planner Pro, and you can get answers to your questions here. Okay, now that we've taken a look at the left navigation, let's come back to the client screen and dive into one of these clients, and we'll kind of go through some of that. I've got a client set up here with my name on it, so I'm going to go into this hyperlink here real quick and show you what some of the options are here. There's not a huge number of options, but there are a couple of things. One is you can reset client name, email, or password information. So if you have given your client access to their portal and they forget their password, or you want to change their email, or they've changed their email, you can do all of that right here. You can also enter any kind of notes that you want as you're doing your planning here in the notes section. in an area. We've had some users ask that a summary of that be sent to them whenever they update things here. We do that. The planner module, which we're going to show you here in a moment, has the tax strategies for a particular client. It is by default set to visible, but if you wanted it hidden, you can select that option here. And then also, if you want to go directly to the business data entry, you can do that from here, and that'll make more sense once we get into some of the information and how to use the system. So that is what is available here in the client settings area. You can see when the user last logged in, some of the demographic information about their tax projection here. You can also use this as a way to jump to a specific client if you want to, and you can search by client and then come here, and if you want to go to a client, you can come to this page for a client a little quicker with this drop down. All right, so I'm going to go back to the client screen though, because most of the time when you come here, you're not going to click this, and instead you're going to click to go to the client portal. So let's go ahead and open that up now. And you'll see right away that you come to the dashboard. The dashboard is kind of the hub of Tax Planner Pro. Over on the left, the navigation has changed. This is all client specific navigation. And you can downsize that navigation screen if you want to, bring it back. And you can also log out and go to another client if you want to. The dashboard provides some graphs up here at the top, graphs that are about the specific tax projection for the client. And then the way that we break down the tax information for a projection is we have what's called a business summary on the left and a personal summary on the right. The business summary, you can have up to 8 businesses connected or being used in the tax projection for a client. So each tab here is a different business, and you could have up to 8 of them. Over on the right with the personal summary, that's always going to be just for one family group for one 1040 projection, and all of this business information is being aggregated over to the personal projection, as well as the other non-business things like wages and interest and dividends and itemized deductions, etc. If you want to see the different business information, you can just click on the tabs here and it kind of refreshes and then shows you the profit and loss and the taxable income for each business. And then if you want to edit the information that is in either the business summary or the personal summary, you have a couple different options to do that. One is you can click this edit button right here. It's quick and easy. You can also come over to personal, and this tab over here on the left will take you to the edit screens and kind of some of the underlying conditions for the personal summary. Or if you click on companies, you'll see that you get the 3 companies that are set up, and you can go into each one of them, or you can add a company if you'd like. The first thing I want to do is take you into the personal summary. We'll just kind of go down the navigation here as we're showing this demo and see if that makes sense, and then we'll come back over here to the business summary, and we'll show you how to set up businesses and that kind of thing for each business that your client has. Okay, so let's come over here to the personal tab on the left nav, and this is going to open up a data entry section. Over on the left is another navigation for how to navigate through the data entry section. It's organized kind of how a tax software program would be organized. It starts with demographics and then has wages, income, the subtractions from income or adjustments, the itemized deductions, then gets into payments and other things. I will say that our program is not nearly as detailed as your tax preparation software. That is by design. We're trying to make a projection a little easier to build and less time consuming than actually doing a full tax return. However, as users give us ideas of other details that they would like to see in the data entry, we typically build it because we know that if you're asking for it, there's probably 1,000 other users that also need it. Also over in the top right-hand corner here is our tax year selector. Right now it's set to 2021, meaning that the tax projection is projecting 2021 information. However, if you click on this, it'll move to 2022, meaning it's now going to project in the dashboard what the 2022 assumptions are for tax. And what we do at Tax Planner Pro is we kind of assume before the information is released what we think the tax rates and the tax brackets and the tax tables are going to look like, what the differences in standard deductions and that kind of thing are going to be, so that you could create a 2022 tax projection, or at least a 2022 hypothetical if you want to, regardless of the fact that we're still in 2021. The 2021 projection is what you're probably going to use the most, is definitely the most accurate because we haven't had to make any assumptions. It's using the data that we know is going to be used for the 2021 tax year. And then over here on the left, you can go through and select different things. So in demographics, we've got everything from filing status to state of residency. You can come to the W-2 wages here. You can set up as many different W-2s as you want. If you're entering information on a certain pay stub date, you can put this, like let's say the client handed you something that with a pay stub that ended 7/12/21, you can enter the information from that pay stub, and then it's going to project what the wage information is going to be at the end of the year for the tax projection. This defaults to 12/31 of 2021, so it kind of defaults to this notion that you're putting in annual amounts to the wages section. You can enter some other demographic information from the W-2s, or what you think the W-2s are going to be, and of course you can label these as taxpayer or spouse. There's other line items for income, Social Security, qualified dividends, capital gains, other income. We have a rental real estate section here where if you are a rental real estate professional, you can click here, and it of course allows certain losses that you don't get if you're not a rental real estate professional. It does understand the rules of passive losses, and we'll make sure all of that flows through correctly depending on income and kind of the status of your client. You can enter the income from the rental property, anything you need. It kind of looks like a tax program again, but is just a little bit simpler. Adjustments, itemized deductions are here. Taxes, you can enter any kind of carry forwards or credits you might have. And then we also have state adjustments. So if you want to make an adjustment to a state taxable income number that Tax Planner Pro is not making, and this sometimes happens where maybe a state has kind of a very unique situation and that we don't have programmed into the software, you can come in here and make an addition or subtraction and change the taxable income so that the tax changes a little bit. But once you're done with all of this, you don't really have to save things. Tax Planner Pro automatically saves things as you enter it, but as you calculate this information, it brings you back here to a summary, so you can see what the tax projection looks like. And then when you come to the dashboard, it's going to be the same information that you just saw in the summary, and the personal tax projection is updated and showing for you. This updates. Especially once you get the businesses connected, this updates on a fairly frequent basis. You can decide whether it's weekly, monthly, or quarterly, and I'll show you that as we get into the business summary piece here. So let's take a look at this business summary side and take a look at some of these companies. I'll go into test company H here, and we'll take a look at what it's showing here. In the test company H here, we've got two tabs up here at the top, and by default it takes you to the business data tab. But before we look at this one, I'm going to actually go over to the connection tab, because this is where you would connect a client's bookkeeping. You can connect them if they use QuickBooks Online or if they use Xero. If they don't have either of those programs, you can use manual data entry. I will warn you, it is not nearly as robust. Your experience with Tax Planner Pro will not be very good if all of your clients need manual data entry. They don't have either of these two platforms. And that's because Tax Planner Pro is diving into your clients' bookkeeping systems and their data, and is trying to not only build a tax trial balance from the book trial balance, so it's going in there and trying to make sure that tax adjustments are made for the tax projection. It's not adjusting the books, but it's going in and looking at them and building that for the TPP projection. But it's also diving in there to look for strategy issues. If you do no integration, this manual data entry, we're just asking you for income and expense numbers, and it can't really dive into anything. So this is best for those of you who have clients that are using online software with APIs, and our system can go in and really get into the data. Now let's assume for a second that your client is on QuickBooks, and so you would select the QuickBooks Online, and you would connect using a button that's not right here, but it's a button you're all familiar with if you've ever connected bookkeeping softwares to other apps, where you use your login credentials to perfect the sync between Tax Planner Pro and QuickBooks. And once that's done, it shows you when the last sync was and offers you some sync settings. You can sync the books weekly, monthly, or quarterly, depending on what works best for you and probably how often the bookkeeping is being updated. You can change your projection strategy, meaning you can use linear, rolling average, or use last year. We have help articles on all of this, but just quickly, linear is if you want the tax projection to simply look from January 1 of this year in the books till today, and then do a business tax projection from that. Rolling average is if you want the system to look at the last 365 days of the bookkeeping. And if you just want to use last year, it actually uses the prior year books. So if we're in 2021 right now, it would be looking at 2020, the full year, and using that for the tax projection. You can also tell it whether you want it to be based on cash basis or accrual, because Tax Planner Pro can do the adjustments for either one. You can delete the company out of there if you want to, and then this is a video over here explaining some of the frequency definitions and how to get this sync set up. So once the sync is set up, then this business data tab populates and you can see some things. Here, because I'm using rolling average, it's using the last 365 days of data in this QuickBooks file, and it's showing me the income and expense accounts from QuickBooks. It's also going to show you what it's projecting for that time period over here in the middle column, and then it allows you to override any amount you want to in the far right column if you're wanting to kind of put some manual touches on the tax projection. So you can do all of that here. It shows you what the net income and what the taxable income is going to be. It asks what the percentage of the business that is owned by the taxpayer is. Most of your clients might be 100%, but let's say they're 50-50 partners with someone. You don't want this full net income going to their personal tax return, right? They're only going to get 50% of that through the K1. So you're going to put 50% here, and that way only half the taxable income goes over to the tax projection. We also ask for the business start date. If the business started very recently, this system makes an adjustment in the projection trying to account for that, so it doesn't think that the business is super seasonal, that it's only been open for 3 months. Or that it is only open 3 months a year. Instead, it takes a look at the start date and makes adjustments for that. And you can also select what type of business you want. Right now, it's S Corp, partnership, and sole proprietorship. Many of you have asked for C Corporation. We are building that. I think that will be ready by October of 2021. So if you're watching this after October of 2021, that it may already be built. You can ask support if it is. But we're building that right now. Payroll, fixed assets, specified service business, rental real estate business. Some of this information is needed for the QBI deduction, and you have to populate that based on what the business looks like. The rental real estate business, again, is for some of the deductibility. If you've connected a rental real estate business, a QBO file, this tells us whether it's rental real estate needs passive losses applied to it. And then down here gives you an idea of what's sent to the personal tax return. So this is all very important in order to customize the projections that go over to the dashboard. Now I'm going to go back over the dashboard here real quick and show you that all of this business income here that we're showing, so this 157 plus the taxable income for test company H and the test company T taxable income, this all goes over to business income here. The C Corp functionality would be a bit different. The C Corp is actually going to pay taxes at the corporate level, and then whatever you illustrate that it dividends each year, let's say it only dividends 50% of its after-tax net income, that would then go over to the dividend section of the personal tax return, because we all know that doesn't come via K-1. But for all these pass-through and flow-through entities, it goes over to the business income side. This calculates self-employment tax. So if it's a partnership or sole proprietorship, it calculates self-employment. If it's all S corporations, there is no self-employment tax. It calculates the income tax correctly. It also calculates the state tax. The reason you're not seeing that here is I think we set up this person to be in Florida, so they don't have any income tax, and then there's payments and credits here. So the way that Tax Planner Pro is set up, the first thing you have to do for every client is create a tax projection, and we call this our baseline tax projection, of which the other things you can do in Tax Planner Pro are based on. So once you've set up your companies in Tax Planner Pro and you've set up the personal tax projection and you're to this point, you can now use the report, the planning sections, the simulator, and all the other things that we have going on. I'm going to show you our brand new report first, and then we'll keep going here. So the report section here, we have this little emblem here that says new, and that's because we've just released a brand new reporting suite for Tax Planner Pro. I'm going to go ahead and click on this now, and you're going to see some of it. We have some specific training around this report, so I'm not going to dive into all of the details of it because it is very versatile. It is a very good suite of reports and different client deliverables, and it has several options to it. So we have some separate training for that, but I do want to show you a little bit about it and kind of what it can do. So over here on the right, you'll see that you can create these reports. You can create a new report. You can rename things. We have this concept of a template, meaning that if your firm wants to create a report template, let's say you call it main template 1, and then apply that template to all of your clients, you can do that with this template piece here. That way, if you've got a message that you send to everybody, or you want your picture in there, or you just want different options or schemes within the different reporting modules, you can save all of that once and then apply it to every client that you've got without having to redo it every single time. Anyways, I'm going to scroll down through here. You can see it's got kind of a cool front page, and it also makes sure that we're branding your firm everywhere in the report. As I scroll down here, you'll see that there's some ideas where you can throw in some of your own text or your own introduction to the report. You can see here how we again have your branding in there wherever we can. This is a smaller logo, and you can go in here and you can edit all of this. One of the major components of this new reporting suite is totally being able to customize it in any way that you want to. But it goes through an introduction, and then it gets into the demographics of your client. So it shows their business data here. It shows their name and some of their federal tax information, tax summaries here. Has some did you know sections. Goes into a major tax projection piece showing all the numbers. So this is a summary here that they see, and then later you can get into the projection summary details with adjustments and deductions and the taxes and payments and everything. Then we started getting into the strategies, so you can illustrate what the top 3 strategy picks are and give them. This all populates as part of the report. The system does most of the work for this, but you get to pick which of your top 3 strategies you want. You do that over here, so you get to pick, do I want expense acceleration, SEP IRA, income deferment? Which of the different strategies in the drop-down menus do you want to select? And then it gets into strategy details. So each strategy that you want to illustrate for the client has a page like this where it goes into what is the tax strategy, what are the different options you get from implementing the strategy. And this one was section 179. As you can see, this is expense acceleration. Again, goes into some, an option A, B, and C, and some ratings and some explanation of it. Here's income deferment. Here's SEP IRA. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on this report, but this goes on and on. really focused on adding more and more strategies. We want so many strategies in this that you really can't present all of them to your client without overwhelming them to some degree. But it is a very good deliverable where you can charge some premium fees to deliver this, and you can put this together in a very, very fast way, especially if you've already got the tax projections built year to year. All you really have to do is update their 1040 information, which I'm going to show you a really fast way to do that year to year here in a second when we get to the vault. And also, because the bookkeeping software is updating on a weekly or monthly basis, you don't have to worry about updating that all the time. It updates on its own. And then you can run updated reports even. There's ways to, you see how you can update to current value, and you can do that across the entire, right here, the entire report, you can update it to the current value. And it will update for the new projection data that's in TPP constantly. So this is a great deliverable. The report section, a very, very unique offering and something that will really make you stand out. And we're super proud of it. And like I said, we're going to keep adding to it and make it such a big report, really. I don't know that you would want to deliver a 100-page report to your client, but you might. And we're going to build that and make sure that that is an option for you. So this is the report piece. You can download the PDF here. You can hide the report options if you're trying to do a presentation to a client. You don't want all those report options there. And anything else that you need. Again, branding was a big part of this, and we think you'll really like the report piece. Let me jump over now to kind of a related tab, which is the tax planning section. This is where you can see different strategies that Tax Planner Pro is bubbling up from the data that it knows about your client and the data that it knows about their business, and it's trying to show what money is on the table or being left on the table based on what it sees in the bookkeeping and the tax projection. And I'll go into one here. Let's go into just child employment here real quick, and I'll show you one of what this looks like. So in employing your children, there's a video here that you can watch about employing your children, a summary about the strategy, but the meat and potatoes of it here is right now it's showing that my current business income is this. I'm showing in the demographics that I have one child, and if I paid this child, depending on the amount that I paid him, what I could save by paying my kids a salary from my business. Now, what this is doing is if I want to kind of get an idea of, well, what if I had two children? What if I had another child that was coming of age and I wanted to pay them as well? I can click this plus sign here, increase the number of children, and it will tell me in real time what paying both of those children would be if I paid them these different amounts. This is the power of software, right? Like, to do this calculation on your own manually, you could kind of probably eyeball it a little bit, but you couldn't quantify it exactly what a client savings would be. But with Tax Planner Pro, you can. And these planning options that are in this planner give you that kind of really power to bring these strategies to a client and say, hey, you need to implement this as a really easy strategy. You can save some money, and the money that you're paying me as your accountant to provide this advice is easily paid for by the savings that I'm showing you. That kind of thing. So that is the planning tab. Let's get into the simulator now, and this is one that I think is the piece of Tax Planner Pro that I use. I use the report quite a bit in my practice, but I also use the simulator quite a bit, because when I have this meeting with a client and we're talking about different things they can do, I need to be able to have a place to run what ifs, and that is what the simulator does. I can run a what if of if my personal deductions change. Let's say my mortgage interest is right now projected at $45,000 based on my baseline tax projection, but I want to make it $60,000. Let's enter $60,000 here and see what happens to the tax due here. It's at what, 203, and now it goes down to 197. In a meeting, I can show a client that in real time, and that is very helpful. That's very powerful. They enjoy being able to see things change and understand what the benefit is of taking certain actions. And this is you can pull this up on a screen in a Zoom meeting if you want to. So in an environment of COVID, we're doing a lot more virtual meetings, right? So that having a paper report in front of them, it's nice, but it's not nearly as handy as in a Zoom meeting. You pull this up, and while you're talking to them, you're just giving them different ideas of what they could do. Right now, I'm showing 0 401k contributions from an employee side, but let's say I wanted to do 12,000 of 401k contributions. Let's see if it changes the projection at all. I don't know if it will. It didn't there. Probably because there's something in the projection that's not allowing that deduction to really matter in some way. Again, very good to know, because if this is saying, hey, that would not benefit you at all, right? Then it's kind of a worthless deduction to take. Now, if I do, let's say I do 30,000 of employee contributions, let's say both husband and wife decide to do that, still doesn't do anything. So there's something going on there where putting in 401k employee contributions is not helping their tax situation in some way, and you can research that and figure it out. Also, if you've got more personal income here, and you want to go in and say, okay, what's the effect of some more capital gains? I want to recognize some capital gains here, so I'm going to put in 10,000 of short-term capital gains, and let's just see if that increases the tax due. Yep, comes up to 201,882 there. So the simulator, very powerful. It uses the baseline projection that you have created in the dashboard, and then you can run what-if scenarios in any way that you would like to. Now, finally, let me show you the vault area. And this is a kind of a simple place, but let's say I want to, put a document in here, and let me grab a document real quick and show you kind of how this works. Okay, so let's grab a tax return here. I'm pulling over a 1040 tax return to the system. There's no need to upload business tax returns unless you're just trying to store them somewhere. If you want to use this as a document storage, you're more than welcome to. But where the real powerful functionality comes from is if I upload a 1040 document. So this is a 1040 that I prepared last year, and what I'm wanting to do is send it to TPP. And if I do that, what happens is the software scans the 1040, pulls the information off of it, and populates the personal tax summary. We have even some verification that we do over the first 24 hours that we have it to make sure all of that information is accurate. But this is a way where you don't have to build all those personal tax projections if you don't want to. Instead, connect their bookkeeping and then drag their 1040 into the vault here, send it to TPP, and TPP will upload that data from the 1040 into the personal tax projection. Easy. And then this information in this document is available not only to you if you need to download it or do something with it, but you can also make this portal available to your client and use it as document storage if you want to. I know many of you have other places that you store these things and even have portals for your clients for other things, but if you needed it, it is here. Now, beyond that, I've had you in here. We're almost a little over 30 minutes in this demonstration, so I'm going to cut it short here now. But we also have some tutorials in here on how to use Tax Planner Pro, and also a profile section here if you want to see it, where you can enter the profile information for your client. It's very important that this gets entered if you're going to use the reporting feature, because the reports use the information from this profile to enter data into some of the reporting pieces of Tax Planner Pro. With that, I'll go back out to the dashboard. If you have any other questions about how the software works, please reach out to support and we'll help you with it. This is the end of this demo, but we have some other videos, and definitely some videos that go more specifically into certain functionality in the forum, the Tax Planner Pro Help Center, and you can explore those as well. Thank you for your attention, and we hope you give Tax Planner Pro a shot. All the best.